Hello, my name is Troy Lindquist from the National Weather Service in Boise, Idaho. I'm the Senior Service Hydrologist, and I'd like to thank you for letting me be part of the Idaho Ag Outlook Seminar this year. Here's what we'll talk about today. We'll do a review of the 2021 water year, and we'll take a look at current conditions here in the 2022 water year. We'll do an update on La Nina, and we'll finally get into the winter and spring outlook. This is showing the precipitation percent of normal for the 2021 water year. And you can see across the entire Pacific Northwest, just about everywhere had below normal precipitation. Much of central and southern Idaho only had about 50 to 70% of normal, with a few locations less than 50%, but as a whole, it's a very dry water year across the region. If we look at temperatures, it was warm. This map is showing our temperature departure from normal, and most of the region was 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. If we look at our snowpack on April 1st last spring, the map on the left is showing our snow water equivalent percent of median, and things didn't look too bad on April 1st. A lot of the basins across the region were ranged from about 80 to 100% of normal, so not too far off where we'd expect to be. There are some areas here in the Wood and Lost River basins that were lagging for sure, anywhere from 65 to 80% of median. Even down here in far southeast Idaho, the Bear River Basin at 77% of median. The map on the right is just showing the modeled snow water equivalent for April 1st, and you can see you get these deeper purple colors that's showing the higher snow water equivalent. So low elevation snow is gone at this time, but a lot of some mid and high elevation snowpack in these regions. You can see the Wood Lost River Basin area. It looks kind of thin, like the map on the left shows. This map here shows the spring precipitation rank for individual counties. This is for the March through May period of 2021, and for the state of Idaho, that was a very dry period. It ranked as the second driest over a 127-year period. For each individual county, you can see where the dryness really was during that March through May period. Through Washington, Adams, Valley counties, it was the second driest 3-month period. Down through Boise, Elmore counties, the 6th and 5th, and even over into Custer County. So a lot of this central mountains, west central mountains, in the far southern part of the state, over here into Oneida, Franklin County, is very dry conditions. A little bit wetter as you work your way up into the upper Snake Plain, but for the state as a whole, it was a very dry region, and that didn't work out too good with the summer heat that we saw. This was kind of the catalyst for expanding drought conditions across the area. We had record heat across Idaho and really the whole western U.S. Pretty much during that June and July period. But people always said if it's a dry heat, it's not that big of a deal. But it seemed pretty hot to me. If you look at this map here, it shows record warmth in those reds across the almost all the Great Basin up through the northwest. So it was just extreme heat during that June and July period. It was the hottest summer on record for Boise, at the Boise airport. We had 18 days of 100 degrees or greater. We had 9 days in a row of triple-digit heat. So it was very hot in the Boise area as it was across much of the northwest. As far as drought goes, the map on the left here shows the drought monitor map of March 30th last spring, and we had this area of extreme drought here in the Wood and Lost River Basin, Custer and Blaine County. But the rest of the state, we had some moderate drought, some of the yellow, moderate, abnormally dry conditions. But again, we had that very dry spring, March, April, May. Then we had extreme heat during the summer, and this is what the drought map turned into by early August. You can see we have extreme to exceptional drought across much of the state. especially the Panhandle and these parts of the Central Mountains, just very dry. And between the lack of precipitation and heat, just drought conditions really got pretty bad. So moving on to the current water year, things started out pretty good. We have our precipitation map on the left. You can see a lot of green there. So that indicates normal to above normal precipitation, especially across kind of south central, southern Idaho. See, we had much above normal or even some record wet conditions across the south in October. As far as temperatures go, map on the right shows in general, things were about normal for temperatures during the first month of the new water year. Then we moved into November, quite the contrast compared to October. Central southern Idaho, you can see their precipitation on the left here, a lot of browns, really well below normal. Much of the region, 50 to 70%, and quite a bit of it, even less than that, in the Wood and Lost River Basin up through Lemhi County near the Nevada border. And it was relatively warm too. Temperature map on the right is showing above normal to much above normal temperatures across the state in November. Here's our latest snowpack numbers in our basins on the left. As of December 7th, this is snow water equivalent. This is percent of median from the NRCS. And you can see everywhere in the state, with the exception of the Raft River basin, it's 99% of median, but everywhere else is about 50% of median or less. So our early season snowpack is not going well right now. The map in the upper right is for the Big Lost River Basin. And this graph is showing the black line is our current snowpack and how we're tracking compared to median, which is this green line right here. And you can see we started off pretty close to that median line, but in the last month or so, things have really flatlined. And this map here, or graph, is just showing the Boise River Basin. You can see the same thing here. We've just flatlined here in the last 30 days or so. And where we would hope to be trending up with this green line, at least here. We'll look at our precipitation for some individual stations. This is for Idaho Falls, Idaho Falls Airport. This is for calendar year. So going back to January, this smooth curve here, kind of the light brown, that's our normal precipitation curve. And you can see this green is how we actually tracked since the beginning of the calendar year. So it looks like March we had some good precipitation, then we kind of dried out in the fall, had some good precipitation for a period in kind of the second half of May. Then it kind of flatlined in June, July. Then we had a good push of monsoon moisture at the very end of July, brought some good rainfall to southern Idaho, and we ended up in second half of August actually climbing above that normal curve, and this is where we are compared to normal right now, a little above normal for the calendar year at Idaho Falls. We can look at the same thing for Twin Falls. Doesn't look as good as Idaho Falls. You can see pretty much since the beginning of the calendar year, they've been tracking below normal and just kind of fell way behind after that dry spring and very hot and dry summer. Again, that good monsoon push in the end of July, but too little, too late, and right now they're running below normal as far as precipitation goes. And finally, last stop here at the Boise Airport. You can see our precipitation. We tracked pretty close to normal for the year, and get into our fall precipitation here in October. We actually boosted above normal. Here's the latest drought monitor, November 30th, and you can see we still have some degree of drought across all of Idaho. We have even some extreme and exceptional drought, the red and the kind of the really deep red over parts of west central Idaho, central Idaho here. But we have seen some improvement compared to August and September with that October precipitation that we received. This map here is interesting. This shows a time series of Idaho drought severity since beginning days of the U.S. drought monitor. So going all the way back to the year 2000 on the left here. These are years as you move from left to right. on the x-axis. So here's the 2021-2022 water year on the far right, where we currently are. And so this is just showing the percent area of Idaho that is in each drought monitor category. So you can see when we peaked earlier, late summer and early this fall, we had the higher percentages of extreme to exceptional drought, and we have improved a little bit. But what I think is interesting looking at this map is some of the multi-year droughts that we've seen, 2014 through 2016. You go back to 2003 through 2005, so you see consecutive years of drought conditions. Hopefully we won't see more drought next year and see this drawn out into multi-year drought. As far as reservoir conditions go, the main thing here is with the drought that expanded across the area is below average carryover going into the new water year. So looking at the Upper Snake Bureau of Reclamation reservoir systems, 28% of capacity as of December 7th. The graph on the lower right, this blue line, is showing the current water year, reservoir storage, and the red dash and the green dash are showing the average and the previous water year. So below average carryover for the Upper Snake reservoir systems. Moving over to the Boise Reservoir storage, you can see we're below average carryover again for the new water year. The average is right there, sitting at 32% of capacity right now. Moving up to the Payette system, you can see below average carryover compared to the average in last year, sitting at 51% of capacity. And finally, looking at Milwaukee Reservoir over in southeast Oregon. Look at the water year graph, the blue here, current conditions, about 200,000 acre feet, it looks like, below average or where we were at last year. Okay, well, just a quick review of Enso, or El Nino Southern Oscillation, before we actually get into the details of our current La Nina. But El Nino is the warm phase of Enso. That's where sea surface temperatures are above average in the tropical Pacific. And La Nina is the cool phase, where they are below average in the tropical Pacific. El Nino or La Nina, it's a coupled phenomena. So we not only need sea surface temperatures either above or below normal, but we need the atmospheric response that is consistent with those below or above normal sea surface temperature anomalies. So currently we have La Nina conditions across the west central to eastern tropical Pacific. So here's our equator. You can see these blue colors indicating those below normal sea surface temperatures. The tropical Pacific atmospheric circulation is consistent with La Nina, and La Nina is likely to continue through the winter and is expected to weaken as we move into the spring, but still about a 50% chance that we'll see La Nina continuing into the March, April, and May timeframe. This Nino 3.4 region I have highlighted in the red rectangle here. Just wanted to highlight that. That's the area that the Climate Prediction Center of the National Weather Service studies, and they have this Oceanic Nino Index, or ONI, that they define that region. They use it to put each El Nino or La Nina event into context, put it into historical perspective as far as the characteristics and the strength go. So if we look at our model predictions for the current Enso phase, you can see this chart here is 3-month blocks of time on the x-axis. So going left to right, we're increasing through the calendar year, like this NDJ here, that's November, December, January, then DJF, December, January, February. And this is the latest observed conditions back in October. And all these lines that you see, kind of the spaghetti lines, those are different models predicting what our La Nina is going to do. And what you can see here is that they all are in pretty good agreement that we're going to continue to have La Nina conditions through the winter and even into the springtime, although it'll be weakening and trending back towards these neutral conditions. So what kind of impacts does La Nina have on our winter weather? Well, our map on the lower left here shows that we often have a variable polar jet stream that kind of lives up through the Gulf of Alaska and then dives down across the Pacific Northwest into the southeastern U.S. And what that pattern often brings is wetter than normal conditions from about the San Francisco Bay Area north to the Canadian border, but also colder than normal air into the northern plains, into parts of the northern Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. In the upper right here on this map, this shows during La Nina winters our difference from average snowfall in inches. So the main thing here is just, you see we have these blue colors across Idaho and the Pacific Northwest indicating during La Ninas we typically see above normal snowfall during the wintertime. Now these maps here show December through February precipitation during La Nina winters. Basically the top two rows are during strong La Nina events. And then here on the second row on the far right to most of the third row are moderately strong La Nina events. And then after that we have, I think, 10 cases of weak La Nina events as you move down the graphs. But the takeaway here is most of the time when we have La Nina during the winter, we see greens or above normal precipitation on these maps, especially during strong events or even the moderate events, but not all the time. When you get down to these last couple rows where all the weak La Ninas are, it's almost a split, about 5 to 5, where we had above normal precipitation or below normal precipitation. So I guess the takeaway here is typically we see more precipitation during La Nina winters, but not all the time. There are many other things that influence our winter weather, large-scale phenomena like the Arctic Oscillation or the Madden-Julian Oscillation, or just the random nature of weather also play a role in how our winters turn out. So our winter outlook for December, January, and February from the Climate Prediction Center. These maps are updated the third Thursday of every month, so these are from November 18th. On the left, we're showing temperature during the December, January, and February period, so that whole 3-month block of time. This is what we are anticipating or what's favored. So if you look at these colors across the northern plains, most of the Pacific Northwest, below normal temperatures are favored during that 3-month block of time. And the darker the colors, the higher the probabilities are that we'll see those particular conditions. So you can see southern Idaho in this white, equal chances of seeing either above normal, below normal, or normal temperatures. Over on the right, you can see the entire state of Idaho is favored to have above normal precipitation during that period. Although the further south you go, that is a smaller chance or smaller probability that we'll see those above normal precipitation during that period. Moving into the spring, March, April, May, same thing. Northern Idaho, Panhandle region has really a slight lean towards above or below normal temperatures during that March, April, May period. Most of the states in that equal chance area. And as far as precipitation goes, most of the states is equal chances of either above or below normal or normal precipitation, except near the Nevada border where there's a slight lean towards drier conditions. The seasonal drought outlook calls for drought to continue across Idaho, but some improvement is expected. That's this kind of light brown or beige color. These darker green areas are areas where drought removal is likely, according to this outlook. This map here is from our Northwest River Forecast Center, and this is showing our water supply runoff volume forecast for the April through September period of this water year. So next spring and next summer, this is what we're currently forecasting as for a percent of normal for each of these locations listed on the map. So if you look at southern Idaho, you see some yellows and even some browns. Those areas are indicating below normal runoff volumes during that April through September period. And as you work your way north, You can see a few more grains, and numbers in general look better. So little closer to normal runoff volumes across northern Idaho, which isn't a surprise with the expectations that La Nina will bring above normal precipitation to the region, especially across the north. Now, these graphs here, they're interesting. These are scatter plots of runoff volumes that occurred for each of these water years from 1950 to 2021. So that's what all these points with the numbers are. So like here, I've got circled this dot with 21. That's 2021, the runoff volume that we received at Bonners Ferry up in northern Idaho. And so those historical runoff volumes, that's the y-axis across the left side here. This green line is the normal that we see. And across the bottom here, this is the Oceanic Nino index. So the gray shading here, that's during neutral conditions. Then to the left of that are La Nina conditions, and to the right are El Nino conditions. This is the blue trend line, and this shows that during La Nina, we do tend to see above normal runoff volumes at this particular point. And if we move into El Nino, we typically see below normal runoff volumes. But as I pointed out earlier, not all the time. That doesn't work out all the time. Just like last year, we had La Nina, and we ended up with below normal runoff volumes. So we can do that for other points as well. And again, you can get these from our Northwest River Forecast Center webpage. Snake River at high sea showing the same type of deal. We have the blue trend line showing below normal runoff during El Nino years, and above normal is favored during La Nina years. But again, 2021, we ended up below. And finally, over at Lucky Peak Dam on the Boise system, we can see the same thing. Maybe not quite as strong of a trend here on this blue trend line, but still, you'd want to, if you were a betting person, you would probably want to lean towards the above normal runoff volumes during La Nina years. And the stronger the La Nina, the better the odds would be that we would see above normal runoff volumes. So key takeaways after looking at all this, La Nina conditions are present, and they're likely to continue through the winter and weaken during the spring. And above normal precipitation is favored across all of Idaho this winter, with the higher probabilities across the north. Below normal temperatures favored this winter for central and northern Idaho. And La Nina tendencies are for above normal winter precipitation across Idaho. And other things influence our winter climate, such as Arctic oscillation, the Madden-Julian oscillation, and just the general variability of weather. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up for today. Again, thank you for your time, and here's my contact information.